She paid him $40 to fix a door that wouldn't close. 3 months later, she saw his face on the cover of a magazine. Maya had lived in the apartment for 2 years, and in that time, the bedroom door had never hung straight. It scraped the floor when she opened it. The latch didn't catch. Some mornings she woke to find it drifting open on its own, like the room was exhaling. She'd mentioned it to the landlord twice. Both times he said he'd send someone. Both times, no one came. So she posted on a neighborhood app. Basic handyman work. $50, negotiable. The responses came fast. Most were vague or overpriced. One stood out. "I can come today if you're free. 40 is fine." No profile picture, no reviews. Just a name. Eli. She hesitated. Then she thought about the door. 4 o'clock? She typed back. "I'll be there." He arrived exactly on time. Maya opened the door to find a man in his late 30s, wearing a faded jacket and work boots that had seen years of use. His hands were calloused. His face was calm, unremarkable. He didn't smile, but he nodded. "Eli," he said. "Maya, thanks for coming." She stepped aside to let him in. The apartment was small, clean but spare. A couch she'd bought second-hand. A bookshelf made from cinder blocks and planks. The kind of space that belonged to someone rebuilding. If he noticed, he didn't say anything. She led him to the bedroom. "It's this one," she said, pushing the door. It dragged across the floor with a low scrape. He crouched down, running his fingers along the bottom edge. Then he checked the hinges, the frame, the floor beneath. "How long has it been like this?" he asked. "Since I moved in." He nodded slowly, still examining the door. "It's not the door," he said. The frame settled, probably from water damage in the unit above. The floor buckled just enough to throw everything off. "Can you fix it?" "Yeah." He stood, brushing his hands on his jeans. "It'll take about an hour. I need to plane the door and adjust the hinges. You mind if I work?" "Go ahead." She left him to it. Maya sat in the living room, half watching a show on her laptop, half listening to the sound of him working. The scrape of wood, the turn of a screwdriver, the low hum of someone who knew what they were doing. It was strange having another person in her space. She'd lived alone since the divorce. That had been deliberate. She needed the quiet, needed to remember what it felt like to make decisions without someone questioning them. But this didn't feel invasive. After a while, she got up and stood in the doorway. He was kneeling, adjusting the bottom hinge with careful precision. His movements were methodical, no wasted effort. "You do this a lot?" she asked. He glanced up. "Fix doors? Help people." He considered that. "I used to build things," he said. "Now I fix them." There was something in the way he said it. Not regret exactly, just wait. "Why the switch?" she asked. He didn't answer right away. He tightened the last screw, tested the door, then stood. "Fixing things is smaller," he said. "But it's honest." She didn't know what to say to that. He swung the door a few times. It moved smoothly now, no scrape, no drag. "Try it," he said. She did. The latch caught. The door closed like it was supposed to. "That's perfect," she said. He nodded. 40, right? She pulled 2 20s from her wallet and handed them to him. He folded them once and tucked them into his pocket. "Thanks," he said. He picked up his toolbox and moved toward the front door. She followed. At the threshold, he paused. "If anything else breaks," he said, "you can call." "I don't have your number." He pulled a scrap of paper from his pocket and wrote it down. No business card, just a number. She took it. "Thanks, Eli." He nodded once, then left. 3 weeks later, the kitchen faucet started leaking. She tried to fix it herself, watched a video, bought the parts, made it worse. She texted the number. "Faucet's leaking. You still doing this?" The reply came an hour later. "Yeah. Tomorrow work?" "Anytime after 5. "I'll be there." He showed up at 5:15. This time she had coffee ready. "You want some?" she asked. He looked at the cup, then at her. "Sure." They sat at the small kitchen table while he drank it. Black, no sugar. "You don't talk much," she said. "Neither do you." She smiled a little. "Fair." He finished the coffee, then went to work on the faucet. It took 20 minutes. When he was done, the leak was gone. "What do I owe you?" she asked. "Nothing. It was quick." "Eli." "Really? It's fine." She crossed her arms. "You can't just work for free." He looked at her for a moment, something unreadable in his expression. "Then buy me dinner," he said. She blinked. "Dinner?" "If it makes you feel better." She wasn't sure if he was serious. "Okay," she said. They went to a diner 2 blocks away. The kind of place with cracked vinyl booths and waitresses who called everyone Hun. He ordered a burger. She ordered soup. They didn't talk much at first. Then she asked, "Do you have family here?" "No." "Friends?" He hesitated. "Not really." She stirred her soup. "Me neither." He looked at her. "By choice?" he asked. "Sort of. I got divorced last year. Most of our friends were his friends. I didn't fight for them." "Why not?" "Because I didn't want to be anyone's project, the sad girl they had to check on." He nodded slowly. "That makes sense." "What about you?" she asked. "I work a lot." That's not an answer. He smiled, just barely. It's easier to work than explain why you're not around. She understood that more than she wanted to. They sat in silence for a while. It wasn't uncomfortable. When the check came, she paid. "We're even now," she said. "Okay." But he didn't leave right away. "Can I ask you something?" he said. "Yeah." "Why'd you hire me?" She frowned. "You answered the ad." "A lot of people did." "Why me?" She thought about it. "You didn't try to sell yourself," she said. "You just said you'd come." He looked at her for a long moment. "That's a good reason," he said. Over the next 2 months, he came back 4 more times. A stuck window, a loose cabinet, a light fixture that wouldn't turn on. She stopped pretending they were all emergencies. He stopped pretending he was just there to fix things. They talked, small things at first, then bigger ones. She told him about the marriage, how it had felt like disappearing, how she was still learning to trust her own voice again. He listened without trying to fix it. She asked about his work. He said he'd been in construction, that he'd managed projects, that he'd walked away from it. "Why?" she asked. "Because I forgot what it felt like to build something with my own hands." She believed him. But sometimes she noticed things. The way he held himself, steady, certain. The way people looked at him in public, like they were trying to place him. She noticed the way people sometimes paused when they spoke to him. Not respect exactly. Recognition. Once, at a coffee shop, a man approached him and started to say something. Eli shook his head and the man backed off immediately. "Who was that?" Maya asked. "No one." She didn't push. She found out by accident. She was at a bookstore, flipping through a magazine while waiting for a friend. The cover showed a man in a tailored suit standing in front of a half-built skyscraper. The headline read, "Elias Brennan, the architect who disappeared, and why he came back." Her stomach dropped. She opened the magazine. The article talked about a billion-dollar firm, buildings in 15 cities, a sudden, unexplained resignation 2 years ago, and now a quiet return to the industry. The photo showed him at a gala, clean-shaven, expensive watch, surrounded by investors. It was him. She bought the magazine. That night she read the whole thing. Elias Brennan, founder of Brennan Collective, net worth in the hundreds of millions, known for his reclusiveness, his refusal to do interviews, his unexpected withdrawal from public life. The article speculated. Burnout, personal loss, a philosophical shift. None of it mattered. What mattered was that he'd lied. She texted him the next morning. "We need to talk." He showed up that evening. She opened the door and handed him the magazine. He looked at it, then at her. "I was going to tell you," he said. "When?" He didn't answer. She stepped back, arms crossed. "Why?" she asked. "Why come to my apartment? Why fix my door? Why sit in my kitchen and let me talk about my divorce like we were equals?" "We are equals." "Don't." Her voice cracked. "You lied to me, Eli. For months." "I didn't lie. I just didn't correct you." "That's the same thing." He looked down. "You're right," he said quietly. She waited. "I left because I was tired of people treating me like a transaction," he said. "Every conversation was about what I could give them. Every relationship had a price." "So you thought you'd test me?" "No. I thought I'd meet someone who didn't know." Her chest hurt. "And what was I?" she asked. "An experiment?" He met her eyes. "You were the first person in 2 years who treated me like I didn't come with a price." "But you weren't. You were lying the whole time." "I was more honest with you than I've been with anyone." She shook her head. "You don't get to decide that." He nodded slowly. "You're right." He set the magazine on the table. "I'm sorry, Maya." He turned toward the door. "Eli." He stopped. "Don't come back." He nodded once. Then he left. She didn't hear from him for 2 weeks. At first, she was relieved. Then she was angry. Then she just felt empty. She kept thinking about the nights they'd sat in her kitchen, the way he'd listened, the way he'd never once made her feel small. But none of it had been real. Had it? One evening, her neighbor knocked on her door. "Hey, did you hear?" the neighbor said. "They're tearing down that old building on 5th. Gonna put up a community center. Fully funded. Anonymous donor." Maya frowned. "When?" "They announced it today. Weird, right? Who just drops that kind of money and doesn't want credit?" Maya closed the door slowly. She looked up the news. The donation was substantial. The center would have housing resources, job training, free legal aid. No name attached. But she knew. 3 weeks later, her sink started leaking again. She stood in the kitchen, staring at it. Then she pulled out her phone. She opened the text thread, typed a message. "I need help." She stared at it for a long time. Then she deleted it. Instead, she called a plumber from an ad. The plumber came the next day, fixed it in 30 minutes. It cost her $120. It felt right. That evening, she got a text. It was from Eli. "I saw the article about the community center. I know that was you." She stared at the message. A minute later, another one came. "I'm not asking for anything. I just wanted you to know I heard you. And I'm trying to do better." She didn't reply, but she didn't delete it either. 6 months later, Maya attended the opening of the community center. She stood in the back, watching families walk through the doors, watching people sign up for programs, watching something good take shape. She saw him across the room. He was talking to a woman with a clipboard, dressed simply, no suit, no cameras. He looked up. Their eyes met. He didn't smile, didn't wave, just nodded. She nodded back. Then she turned and walked out into the evening air. She didn't know if she had forgiven him, but she knew this. The man who fixed her door was real, and the man on the magazine cover was still trying to become him again.